Hello and welcome to Anty Matters. Short video for you today introducing my new solenopsis tipuna colony and a few things I've learned along the way for the care of such tiny ants. Intro done, time for the good stuff. Solenopsis tipuna are found in East China and southern Japan and like a nest temperature between 15 to 25 degrees, which is quite a nice range. They hibernate from late October to March, and their size ranges from around 1mm to 3mm. My queen is no longer than 7mm long, black and slender like a lot of the other solenopsis queens. Sorry I don't have a picture, but they're so small and all my cameras were like, nah, not happening. Their diet consists mostly of protein in the form of pre-killed insects, and they barely touch sugar, water or honey. I sometimes see them chewing on what seems to be fungi, but as it's so small it's hard to properly identify. We'll talk about size issues in a second, but those aside, this species has extremely fast growth. Combine that with a maximum population of at least 40,000 and you've got yourself quite a handful. Size problem wise, these issues will apply to all microspecies such as fouth and acorn ants, to name a few. Housing, there can be no gaps or they'll be off. A lot of them are about 1mm long, but their total width of the body is barely 0.2mm long, and they can fit through most cracks, and they'll try as well. Hot glue guns are extremely helpful for this. Tube joints can be sealed nicely with a nice dollop. Although I wouldn't stop at that, solid implants inside the tube will stop it flexing at the joint, creating gaps. I used a piece of cheap ballpoint pen. To stop them leaving at the top, PTFE works really well, but be sure to check it regularly that there is no breaks or they'll be out. You also can't have corners. If you have any corners and you apply your PTFE or block, a lot of the time they'll crawl up through the corners because you just can't get every single little bit of the corner and escape. I'd also highly recommend keeping the lid on your colony unless it's native, because you don't want to have a problem of the elates flying and you basically letting a non-native species out in your country, which could cause all sorts of problems in an ecosystem. Feeding. As they can climb inside food, it doesn't hurt to leave it in till it's pretty much an empty shell before replacing. When replacing, distract with new food and wait a few minutes to give them time to sniff out the new stuff. Then carefully lift and place it on a piece of A4 paper. Give the bit of food that you've taken out a few flicks at least until you think you've got all the workers out. And then place the bit of food on another piece of A4 paper just in case there's any stragglers, and then tip the ants back into the nest and hopefully you've got them all. You cannot give these microspecies drops of honey either. It doesn't end well and they drown, but cotton and honey is great. Finally, behaviour, as they're so small, they must see the world completely differently to normal ants. They make weird nests in places you didn't expect, eat things differently, and a lot of them seem totally oblivious to you most of the time. My tipunas let me shove my microscope in there all the time and never give it a second glare. Maybe they're blind. No, so I don't know. Anyway, hope some of this helps, as there isn't much information concerning microspecies. I know I went in pretty blind when I got mine and relied heavily on the stuff I'd already learned from my more forgiving bigger ants. But thanks for watching and happy anting, and see you next time.